Welcome back to our genetic deck building experiment here on YouTube. It's been about 5 days since the two-color deck update that I did. Sorry that it took me so long to upload that, but I did have to do a video for my other channel, which I've promised weekly updates, whereas I have no such promise on this channel, so I'm just kind of doing things as I have time. Our decks did reach 100 views. I don't know, hopefully my mouse cursor works here. It's hit or miss whether or not it does. But the decks do have 100 hits each. You'll notice that I've pared this down to one tribe. Right after I did the last video, I was thinking that 3 tribes was too much, so I brought it down to 1. And then after a couple days, I brought it down to, I brought it down to 2 tribes before. And then after a couple days of that, I brought it down to the 1 tribe. The reason I did that was because, I want there to be multiple different tribes so that it could build decks in different ways. But with one format, with literally one set in the format, there's not really a whole lot of different ways to build decks. And also I decided that I'd rather have it focus on building one decent deck for each tribe than have to basically use double the processing power to get mediocre results. As you can see here, white is continuing to dominate. I don't know what's up with that. I do want to have a look at this deck, but right now we're focused on two color decks. I did switch over to an ELO ranking system. My ranking system here, the second number, had a problem where, or at least I perceived a problem where, if a deck were to face off against a weaker deck, it would gain a whole bunch of points. And I felt that's what was happening with white, is that it was just leeching points off of these guys. So I implemented the ELO system, which is a little bit more, which takes that into account. White is still dominating. White has not lost points any update, except for the update where, so after I merged the 0 and the 1s together, the tribes together, it created a situation where the numbers were off. ELO was a zero-sum game. If you add up all these numbers together and divide them by the number of tribes, you should reach 1,000. 1,000 is the starting point for this. But because I deleted tribes, I merged tribes together. I didn't lose any of the decks that were there. I basically put them all into the 0. And then I took the highest ranking between the two. That way it wouldn't lose any of the wins that it did previously. And that created a situation where this was off. So I created a script that checks every tournament that this is still correct, because I plan on merging decks on the fly later on. When Amonkhet and Kaladesh decks become standard legal, there'll be two different folders, and they will eventually merge together. And so I need to create that code anyways. And so what this does now is it now will check that this is correct. And so when I did that, all of these lost 15 points, and that's what you see here. You'll see that they all went down by 15. Every other update except for this one here, it went down again. But every other update, white's gone up, 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 up. It's crazy. I don't understand why white's doing so well. I do want to look at these decks. The other thing to note, I'm just floored by the two color results. Simic is winning, which I'm thrilled by because Simic is my favorite guild, but I have no idea why Simic is winning. Like, we've got Boros, white and red right here, which I expected to do better. We have, what was the other one? Orzhov, because black and white were the two dominant ones. I don't understand. You'll see that black and white are still the top 2. Green is 3rd. Green surpassed white in the ranking for a bit here. But what was happening, my K value for the ELO was just too big. You'll see that it jumped hugely here and then fell. It overshot its true ranking. Its true ranking is probably about where it is. The graph is to ELO is a logarithmic scale. This graph is de-logarithmized, I want to say. It's 10 to the power of 1,000 divided by 400 is what the ELO formula uses to determine the relative strengths. This is that, and so that's why everything is clustered more closely together here than up here, despite similar rankings. It's a logarithmic scale. So yeah, Simic, Selesnya, Arachnos, Golgari. I also had it set up so that, it doesn't matter now, but I had it set up so that it was still simulating these upper, I created it so that there's 2 tiers basically. If they have at least 100 simulations and they are over 1,000, they were in the upper tier. And that way I could do upper tier simulations as well as all the new decks that were in. Because otherwise these white, black, all the monocolor decks were just sitting around doing nothing. This has created a situation here. You'll see the colorless decks under my ranking system are ranked 7, which is well below all the rest of these. But this hasn't had many simulations since. And actually this was a little bit higher. This was 28, this was at 98 something when I went to bed, so it had a simulation since. So what's happening is it's below 1,000 and it has not yet hit the regular simulation cycle. It's way down here. So it hasn't been simulated. This is currently overranked. This is going to lose a lot of points. And there'll be more points split around here. So one of the things that will happen soon is that white will eventually reach a point where this number tells it that it's supposed to win every game. If it loses any game, not any match, any game, it will start losing points. I watched the tournament and I actually was checking over and over again what the rankings difference was. It had a match versus Izzet where white won 7 of the 8, 3-0. Izzet won 1 game 3-0. The one game that Izzet won, the K value is currently 4. And the reason I chose 4 is because 4 times 8 is 32. 32 is the K value that is used for like chess tournaments and such by the International Chess Organization, whatever it's called, I don't remember. The K value is currently 4. So Izzet won 3.2 because of the ratings difference. Won 3.2 for its 3-0 win, which is huge. But white won 0.8 because 0.8 and 3.2 makes 4. Won 0.8 for all the 7 that it won. So even though Izzet wins more every time it wins a game, white still got points out of that matchup. That will happen more and more. The higher this gets, the more it will lose when it loses. And that's just the way this works. There's a finite number of points, and you can only get so high. You can't just keep climbing the ladder. And that's actually one of the reasons why Magic the Gathering stopped. The DCI stopped using ELO, is because people would get a really high ranking and they'd stop playing because they got to a point where they couldn't gain points. Any match they play, they would lose points, so they just stopped playing, and they kept their high ranking. So that's why ELO is no longer used in Magic the Gathering tournaments. And I've been rambling for 10 minutes again, so we need to get to our Apex match. I need to go back and code the code that won't take the top 4. I want to run a simulation between Simic, Selesnya, Rakdos, and Golgari, and I'll be right back after I've coded that. It shouldn't take me very long. Alright, so my quick little hatchet job here to add the names of the tribes to the list, and then I pull them up in, I forget where the code is over here, basically loop through and check to see that those tribes exist, and then I take the highest rated tribe of them all, even though there's only one tribe right now. That's fine. This is future proofing. And then I changed this so that it would go through this and top down find tribes as long as they weren't already in the list. This way I can list like 1 or 2 tribes and it'll be fine. This is, I know my code is horribly bad. Don't hate me. I'm self-taught as a programmer. I never went to college. I never learned any of the good habits. A friend of mine actually, I did Ludum Dare with a local group here in Calgary, and one of the guys I was partnered with for I believe it was alternate dimensions, alternate worlds. We made a game called Connie's World. He taught me a few tricks. I was like, oh, okay, that's good to know. I ignore most of them just because I do what's effective. It just works. I'm sure the Forge programmers would hate me for all the workarounds I did to get the auto play. This is wrong. That's Xmage. To get it to load automatically. It's horrible. I'm not a good programmer. I just kind of do whatever. But this is now set up, and we'll let this run. 2 color decks. So first up, it's going to load up the Golgari. Land base is still not consistent even among the Apex. We're going to Lord of Luxury. Consulate Skygate. Caterpillar Bug. I'm not seeing any obvious strategies here. There was a point when the Golgari decks were running no, sorry, that was the mono black decks. Before. This guy has not played a mountain. He actually doesn't, this avatar doesn't like black, he prefers green. So this is actually within character. Thriving Rhino. It's running slowly because I'm uploading a video in the background, and it actually gives me enough time to see what's going on. Actually, I should be enlarging this to full screen. Arm Cobra. Voltaic Brawler? Really? Maybe that's a holdover from when I was running 2 tribes. Tribe 1 is allowed to grab Voltaic Brawler because they're both in green. Tagging with everything, it's deciding to activate its vehicles. I don't expect that to be an issue when Catas isn't in play. We're now on the Rakdos decks. It's weird to see an elf in Rakdos, especially running mostly red. Not a lot of black. Elves prefer black over red. Mark Rosewater said, someone asked him if elves weren't green, what color would they be? And he said that they would be black, just based on their lore. And that really depends on what world the elves are from. Elves from Dominaria are mostly white, at least during the Ice Age. I don't know about lately. But during the Ice Age, elves were more white than black. You can tell I've been playing Magic a long time, because I actually started playing just before Ice Age. I really got into it around Mirage. Actually around Visions. Selesnya decks. Oh, I forgot to mention something about Selesnya decks. I'll mention it after this round. Selesnya decks are doing what Selesnya does best. Big creatures, buffs. I want to see what Simic is doing, because Simic is, of all the 2-color decks, Simic is doing the best. And I don't understand why. Saw the Green Gear Hulk. And it's a Masterpiece Gear Hulk, so I wonder if they did actually breed decks when it created new decks. I didn't think it was supposed to, because I kind of... Wow! 2 Masterpiece Gearhogs. If it's got 1, it's going to get another one. Oh wow, they're doing the same thing, because they both had 2. So you can see that they're definitely running similar decks, even though they're different families. I like that this is going so much slower. It's because I'm uploading a video in the background. Sky Skiff. Yeah, slowly is fine, but don't freeze. Elemental Courage. So the Simic decks, this is what I want to see. Why are the Simic decks doing so well? Sage of Salia's Claim. Windrake. Peafowl. Foundry Inspector, Smuggler's Copter. What is it in their deck that's so... making them dominate so well? High Spire Artisan. I guess it lets them block copters. Sky Sovereign. They're not even running the Flying Vidalcum that's in their colors anymore. I mean, they used to. I saw that earlier on. There's Ambition. A couple copies of Tether's Ambition. There it is, Imperial Voyager. That's the 2-color Vidalcum. Oh, it's they're running Metallogic Summons, which works well with a lot of their blue instants and counter spells. I don't think they are playing a lot of instants in green. Marham Cobra, Revolutionary Rebuff. Mostly it's creature based, and that's to be expected given the way the computer plays. So what I wanted to mention about Selesnya, so back here, when green was passing white, green and white were the top 2, now it's black and white again. Selesnya was second place by a long shot. And I was looking at this going, seriously, green and white? Green and white and green-white were the top 3 decks. And I was like, oh, please no, not again. But Selesnya took a hit. And now Simic is back up above, and black got back above green. I was worried there for a bit. This was yesterday, I believe. I still had to do to edit and upload the videos that I recorded for my other channel. This is loading slowly enough that it's going to crash. It's going to throw a tab error, or like a tab caption error, because it's trying, because when it loads this slowly, it tries to change the titles of the tournaments before the tournaments even have loaded. Yeah, right there. Set tab caption. Yeah, expected that. And normally that wouldn't happen because it's like as soon as the menu loads, I have it set up so that as soon as the menu loads, it loads my simulation. It doesn't even that way I don't have to click on anything to start the tournament. It just starts. And that's what I'm talking about. The Forged programmers would have a fit with how I've hacked their program, or not hacked, but like changed their code. So Rakdos versus Selesnya. It looks like Rakdos is winning overall, at least in this match. Rakdos has more cheaper creatures. Selesnya has bigger creatures. It's kind of high. I don't see any black creatures here. The Pillar Bug is black color identity. There's a black creature. Let's have a look at their deck. Demon of Dark Schemes in the graveyard. Combustible Gearhulk, nice. Chandra's Chandra Pyrogenius. Just drew it. Where to go? He just drew it. Where to go? Didn't cast it. Not casting Combustible Gearhulk either. It's not in the graveyard. It's not in exile. It's not in his hand. I wish. Oh, it was 2 cards down. Sparks. Versus Gearhulk. Wow. Versus Gearhulk is labeled as AI do not use, but the AI uses it just fine. Wow. I happen to know that this Golgari family is almost mono black. It almost uses no green whatsoever, which is interesting. It's interesting how, yeah. See, there's no. Okay, there is one green creature in there. It's interesting how the families are, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't need this multiple tribes, is because the family system was creating some diversity. That makes things a little bit different. Obviously, in some cases, the one family dominates, and that's just one strategy. Like we're seeing with white. I happen to know that that's one of the reasons why white is doing the role it is. And it's just going to take some time for the other decks to catch up. I still don't know why Simic is doing so well. It's a little bit... I don't see anything really in its strategy that speaks volumes to anything. It's not like it's got any hard removal except for counter spells. I mean, maybe it is using counter... Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just because it can counter things right off the bat. That in a board state where every creature matters, it counters things and pulls ahead. Blossoming Defense, which it didn't use. Genius. And it's a Vital Force. Nice. It's running just so far. I would say that's a bit of a surprise, but it really isn't for green, because between, like, it's got the Weaver's Puzzle Knots, it's got a few other things going on. I saw 2 different modules out, so we're probably running the module stream. One of the things that was interesting with when I had the 2 tribes going is that the red tribes, tribe 1s took an immediate lead, like dominant lead, and the multicolored decks kind of came online later. That's because the monocolored decks, or the 2-color decks, had even trouble getting 2 lands. It had it had too many of one land, and too many casting costs of the wrong one. And then of the 2-color decks, it was the enemy color decks that did better. And that's because of this is why the story triggered in my mind, is because I saw the Botanal Sanctum. It's because of the fast lands. The fast lands mean that the enemy color decks have a better choice of lands than the monocolor decks, or than the allied color decks do. Oh shoot, I meant to see... Hopefully I can go back and grab a screen grab of the... it doesn't save over generations. It updates after every round. The ELO system. Golgari versus Selesnya. Interesting. I just realized that 3 of these decks are running greens. Golgari, Selesnya, and Simic. The only difference being white, black, and blue, which... And white and black, of course, are the other 2 dominant colors. So, green... So basically, what is it, Asban colors? Asban colors are dominant. I wonder how well the Asban deck would do. I'm planning on adding the 3-color decks when at Aether Revolt. When there's enough Aether Revolt cards in Forge that I can start opening packs. Right now, Forge is set up so that when Aether Revolt starts being added to Forge, it will automatically start adding them as bonus cards. Ooh! Ooh! Masterpiece Gearhulk. Wow. I mean, it was running... Black's been running Noxious Gearhulk for a while, and there's no inherent weight to running a Masterpiece one over a regular one because they're the same card. But, yeah, shiny. Torrential Gearhulk is a card we haven't seen. When I was still debugging the code and I was running simulations before I started the channel, Blue did have a Masterpiece Torrential Gearhulk. But I haven't seen any Torrential Gearhulks at all this time around. And that's probably part of the reason why Blue is doing as poorly as it is. Because the Gearhulks are pretty much as awesome in mold. Either Strong Rock. Trumpeter of the Fairgrounds. I wonder if they're running counter strategy? I don't see anything else that makes counters. Oof. Seeing this red makes me remember something that I wanted to say earlier is I'm surprised Boros isn't doing better. Boros isn't even over 1,000 right now. Boros was running a dwarf strategy at one point with Hala and the Flying Vigilance Dwarf and Veteran Motorists. It seems to have veered away from that, but it was running that combination before. So yeah, I don't understand why it's not doing better. I would expect of all the two color combinations, that and green red would be the two big ones. Oh, saw this on the spam. This must be the bottom of the pecking order for top decks. I'm going to change over the way decks are ranked for this to an elo system as well. I didn't do it originally when I started the elo system was because I was thinking that decks didn't live long enough most of the time. But I think that the top decks live long enough that they can get a decent rating. Because this deck isn't very good. I don't know why it's in the top tier. I'm sure there's some anomaly that's causing poorer decks to become top tier, which is a problem because then they breed. When you think about it, half of the decks that make it to the top tier wind up breeding. So because I breed twice, there's two decks that are fathers, that are the top two, and then two decks that wind up being mothers, and that's 4 out of 8. So that's a -7 crash. It's fine. It looks like it's still running though. Oh, there we go. One blue land and no green creatures. That was interesting. You'll see that I'm focusing on Simic a lot because I'm curious to see why Simic is doing so well. See, Simic won, like it getting six elo ranking here. Rakdos lost, Selesnya lost 3, Golgari lost 3. Simic and Selesnya were tied at the beginning of the, well, just Simic had slightly more than tied. Even though it's been, this isn't even updated, but this entire time since here, Simic has been ahead. And I don't understand why. I just don't. The only thing I can think of is the gear hook. No, wait, Selesnya has the gear hook, not Simic. Yeah, I don't understand. Anyway, one more round here. Simic and Selesnya go head to head. Rakdos and Golgari. So the two green deck, well, that's not true because Golgari's green. The two black decks go off against each other, and then the other two green decks that are not black go heads up. And is it going to tab caption again? I mean, my computer's not running super slow because my computer's recording is ahead of my tablet's recording, which usually doesn't happen. Usually it's the other way around. You'll notice in some videos sometimes I'll say things before they happen. It's because my computer's video recording was slow and my tablet actually was a little bit ahead. No, wait, that would be the other way around. Anyway. Golgari versus Rakdos. Catas Security Club. Or Catas Club Security. Oh my gosh. I must be having seizures or something. That's an interesting card. A vanilla card. 3/4 for 4. The computer still thinks it's sufficient. I mean, we are dealing with a one set format. So maybe it is the most efficient creature to use. I think we'll see more interesting decks once Ether Revolt comes out. And that's the thing, this set was added to a standard that already had 2 sets in it. That already had Battle for Zendikar and Shadows over Innistrad blocks. So it's the 5th set added to the current standard. So you're not seeing a lot of the cards that this is currently using, just because there's other options. Here there are no other options. So per Catas Club Security is a decent card to use for both black decks. I would have thought the 2-color decks would have found better options though than the monocolor, because it has more options than the monocolor decks. Harsh Scrutiny, wow. Fire Forger's Puzzle Knot in the Golgari decks. No, I've been clicking on this, that's right. I've been clicking on the bottom ones. I was just associating top with top, which wasn't correct. It really likes the where'd it go? The lock, the one with Chandra and Nisa on it, the artifact that's a lockdown. Lets you tap, lets you prevent them from using planeswalkers. Usually taps creatures, but it can prevent you from using planeswalkers. Reverse Gearhulk, masterpiece. I don't like that this sorted vertically. Also, Creeping Mold from a previous set. I want to say 7th. Looks like either 7th or Mirage. Oh, it's Visions. Yeah, that's the Creeping Mold I'm familiar with. Because, like I said, I played a lot of Magic during Visions. Oof. What are the Simic decks up to? Smallest Copter, Imperial Voyager, wow. Lots of Imperial Voyager. Here I was saying that it wasn't using that, but that particular deck is. I mean, I'd say that Simic has the mana ramp, but so does Selesnya. Simic does have some efficient ways of getting energy, but it's not really using energy. Thriving Rhino and Thriving Turtle are 2 of the best thriving creatures, and Simic does get both of those. So there's that. It's got Smallest Copter. It's still running a few Sky Skiffs. It's using, oh, Hydra. Well, Hydra for the computer isn't as good because it doesn't really wait to use that as an instant. It will spam out all. If it has a way to use energy, it will spam out all its energy to get +1/+1 counters. Glint as Crane. I mean, I guess Glint has Crane into. It's not using the Gearhulk though. I mean, it doesn't yet have the Gearhulk. Selesnya does. So I don't understand why Simic is just doing so well. I'm saying that, and Simic's probably losing them too. I'm more looking at their decks, and I'm looking at what's going on here. Come on, declare blockers. Okay, I think Selesnya is beating Simic. You guys are probably shaking your heads at me. Okay, Selesnya was beating Simic. Let's have a look at those match results. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Who had more? 1, 2, 3, 1. Selesnya had more games were at one match, even though it lost. Simics, almost all Simics were 3-0 loss, were 0-3 losses, except for that one. And at the time, Simic was rated higher, so that's a factor. Even still, Simic is rated slightly higher. These were tied at the beginning of this tournament. Simic actually gained a few points here that it didn't have before. So let's go ahead and look at the best, or the ones that did the best in this tournament. We've got Golgari won the whole thing. Selesnya came in second. Simic came in 5th, and Rakdos came in 6th. So we'll have a look at those decks. See if we can solve why Simic is doing as well as... Actually, I want to look at Simic. Actually, I want to look at them in this order. I want to look at Simic first. Because that is a little bit weird that it's doing so well. I actually expected Simic to be the least significant of the tribes. We're in generation 15. Wow. 11 FA, 11 FA. This was me looking at the white decks earlier today to see why they were doing so well. I don't get it. Okay, so we've got only one Botanical Sanctum. That's fine. Blossoming Defense. Remember I was commenting, I think I was commenting in one of the recent video how efficient the decks were getting and how they're running multiples of things. This isn't. Like, I mean, maybe this is doing something hinky with tapping stuff. Deadlock Trap is tapping stuff. Yeah, 2 Sky Sovereigns. Bolmat Bazaar Barge is a card that I don't see in any of the other decks. I haven't seen this at all in the simulation until just now. So there might be something to that. Yeah, I don't get it. I'm sorry. Next we've got Rakdos. It's funny that they're in reverse order here to how they are overall. Rakdos. Mostly red deck this one. It's got Chandra Pyrogenius. Harsh Scrutiny. There's no weirdness in the land base. Squisher Sash is a little bit weird. Ruinous. Wow, it's running 3 of these. There were Giants. Again, Exploding Menace, I'm pretty sure. Built to Smash. These decks aren't terribly impressive yet. I give it time to evolve a little bit more. Next up is a Selesnya deck. Selesnya's best deck is 4 back. 4 back 34. Am I on the right? That's it? Wow, Selesnya only has 18 population. Huh. I wonder why so few. Creeping Mold, Cowl Prowler. Remember how I was saying green likes a certain combination of cards? Yeah, we're seeing that in Selesnya. Long Tusk Cubs. This particular deck that did the best this tournament and got to breed isn't using the Gearhulks. That's interesting because this archetype does have the Gearhulks. Wow, it's got a lot of ways to remove Artifacts. It's not using Fragmentize, but it doesn't need to with keeping the old abstract being natural. Blossom with Defense. Tune with Ether is one of the reasons why I think the green decks are doing well. Alright, so let's look at the Golgari deck. 414. Sorry, 41891. Golgari deck is running Farm Tiger, Syndicate Trafficker, Cub, I'm not seeing anything stellar. It's not even running any dual lands. I'm not seeing anything stellar that would indicate why it won every match. I don't know. Pathetic Reunion in the sideboard. This is starting to make me wonder. I mean, this could be a holdover from when I had 2 tribes, but I changed that a couple days ago, so I'm surprised that I am using a double helix system, and it is keeping an active card. Like, the sideboard isn't an active situation; it's not doing anything with the sideboard. Probably implement the sideboard after I add the 3 color decks, which is probably going to be after other Revolt launches, or Ether Revolt launches. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. It's probably about an hour long before I cut like dead stuff. And I need a catchphrase for this channel. I don't want to say keep on ring, but that's my other channel.